Hey, welcome to True Urban Culture, where we bring the truth back to urban culture. I'm your host, Kenny Santos, and we're just here talking about religiosity and whatnot, and wondering if God will ever forgive all those abortions I paid for. On this, on my on this panel, if they can get their shit together, I have my man, the Donnie, and then there's always the Black Don, and it has a Q, so it's not racial. How are you guys doing?
I'm
We're back
good.
into the pop, by the way.
Doing well. I'm doing well.
Yeah, forget my retirement plan. Great, you guys are doing well. What else is that we're going to be editing this episode severely, and I hopefully not, because this has been gold so far. So, as I was mentioned before, today's theme is going to be religion. But before we talk about that dumb bullshit, I definitely want to talk about this dumb bullshit, and specifically how everyone's doing. So we're going to do our mental health check-in, and as always, it's 1, I want to die. 2, my life is pointless. 3, nothing matters. 4, my life sucks now. 5, whatever. 6, I'm content. 7, I'm grateful. 8, I'm in a good place. 9, I'm excited about life. 10, couldn't be better. Yeah, I didn't breathe once when I said that. Sean, go first.
Got you. I'm gonna say right now I'm sitting at a 9, and that's mostly because I'm having like a good weekend. I went out to like this kind of grungy party kind of thing that happened last night that my friend invited me to. It's a pretty cool place. And today my dance crew is actually holding auditions, so I get to see everybody again today.
Oh, dope. I have several questions. For example, yesterday, were there baddies at this grunge place and should I attend?
Yes. Yes,
Yes to what? Those were 2 questions.
Well, yes, you should attend, and yes, there were baddies at this place. It was like it's very art kind of like vibe, like grunge and goth, and they had a bar on one section. They had like for some reason Batman, like an animated Batman movie playing on a projector.
Oh,
Even though music was playing. Yes, it was one of those kind of things. Like we walked in and it was just like, this is interesting. Batman is playing the band that had played right before like they walked off, played some song where the girl was singing legit spit in my mouth, and we watched her spit in someone's mouth.
It sounds like my kind of party.
I kind of want to report it to the government because they were in the middle of the pandemic. And
I mean, yeah, it's horrible. It was like a horrible thing, but like we were all just kind of like with our cameras just watching. Like, is she really gonna do? She did it. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like modern artists and film students are part of this category I'd like to call art hoes. And they're just a separate species at this point, and we should treat them as such. Let's just quarter and corner them. You know what I mean? But great. I already forgot what my second question was going to be regarding that, so I'll just move on to Donnie. How are you doing, Donnie? Ponytail Donnie, show us your ponytail real quick before you tell us how you're doing. Show
It's not long. It's not long.
He's my little Yorkie.
I will say I'm whatever. I'm 6. I've just been for the past 2 weeks just been like mindlessly floating through life.
What's new?
It's kind of dark, but I found out that I had a father last week, but he died last year, so it's like in one ear and out the other. Like, yeah, you got a father, but he died last year. So I'm 2 for 2 now. So both parents are gone. I'm officially transitioning over to becoming a billionaire and using that trauma to fight crime. So,
Danny, let's be honest. If you inherited billions and got martial arts skills, I think the last thing you do is fight crime. If anything, you probably fight for crime.
Yeah. You're probably right.
The power is to be a good person. Hell no. I'm like conquering a small country. Give me some
vigilante.
No, I'm the super villain. Are you kidding me? Please. Who's gonna stop me? Kryptonite doesn't exist. But so where did you say you were on the scale exactly?
Like a 5 or 6. Like I'm content right now. I'm just like on autopilot right now. Yeah, basically.
Well, good. I'm not saying I'm glad any of this happened to you, but I feel like it will make our podcast really juicy. So I'm glad suffering can be used for good in the ends.
That's the first thing I said when he died. I was like, wow, I got a great story in a podcast now.
Thanks, bro. Oh yeah. Well, I guess I'm pretty content, honestly. Like a lot of materialistically good stuff has been happening to me lately. But I really realize that it doesn't actually make me happy, and that like my pursuit of more money and more wealth and more all of that is just like, I'll probably never be satisfied, so why care about it? But I did meet a baddie last night, so it really bummed me up. So I'm like hovering over a 6 or a 6.5. It's nice because I meet tons of people all the time, and I very quickly find out what I don't like about them. And, even if it's disappointment after disappointment, there's still a part of me that still has that hope that I'll finally find someone whose flaws I will accept as they are. And yeah, honestly, every now and then something surprises me. So I'm like at a 6.5 because I respect them.
Did you find out what she did?
What do you mean what she did?
Like her occupation?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's mine. She's actually a writer too.
Oh, and what's her race?
Oh, okay. She is South Asian.
Oh, okay.
That's approval. Dolly doesn't like it when I date white girls, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was the implication in that.
I mean, you just don't date a lot of white girls, so
I dated like a whole one for a couple months, and that was like the theme of our podcast for like 3 episodes. We kept bringing up our personal. I really shouldn't bring up my personal shit on podcast, but why the fuck not? But no, I don't really have any racial specifics, but I do have. I will say the white liberal woman is the greatest threat to the human race there is, and no one will ever think. Like I got into such a tick. We're gonna go into the theme real quick. I know I'm wasting time with stories, but I got into the illest. I get into a lot of TikTok fights lately. I don't know why. Like it probably if there's a fight in the comment section, I probably started it. But her entire career was just making fun of white people, making fun of capitalists, and no, that's basically, and making fun of men essentially. And like she's like, oh, I'm this queer ally of Black Lives Matter in the bio. I'm a minority woman who likes other women, but like then she posts one video where like, oh, I've had a 2-year sneaker relationship with this white finance bro, and I'm like, you're spreading them for someone who embodies all 3 things that you have said to hate. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know why bisexual women end up with like normal cisgender heterosexual men all the time. But whatever. I'm not here to judge, apparently. But let's get back to religion, because that's a podcast in and of itself. So what I want to ask you guys is, okay, sure, that popped up. Anyways, our title will be "Can We Pray Our Sadness Away?" And first thing we're going to analyze is our relationship with this whole fucking mess, essentially. So first question. What was your relationship with religion growing up? Donnie, you can go first. We already know a bit about you, but maybe you can expand on a few points.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. Like I went to Sunday school when I was forced to. I had a pretty okay relationship with God up until I started to develop my own identity and own thought process. So like maybe around like 13 and up. But yeah, I mean, since then it's been non-existent. I don't believe in it anymore. And that's just my personal preference. But everybody knows why I don't believe in them. So
now, is it like a militant thing? Like whenever someone brings up religion, do you like roll your eyes and start an argument, or do you just avoid it altogether now? What kind of atheist are you?
When people mention religion, I am respectful of their beliefs and their, thought process and what have you. But no, I don't roll my eyes. I listen to their point of view. Just don't try to persuade me to join your religion or your cult. as it could be called. I'm not interested, but I am willing to listen to other people. Like, that's just me.
Okay. In your present day life, as you are as a like an individual adult human being through your day to day, does religion play any sort of factor in your life, whether you like it to or not? Like, can you just not? It Are there any days you just can't go down the street without hearing someone preaching the good word or something? Like, how does it really affect your life in the present day, other than being forced to talk about it on my podcast?
Oh, I mean, no, like I'm not one of those guy that's like, oh, like I can't be in a world with religion and stuff like that. That's totally fine. Like, you do what you want to do on this earth. Like, that's your own viewpoint and your own culture and history and what have you. It has nothing to do with me. It's just, don't try to push it on me, or don't try to get me to believe in something that's totally just out of this world, in my opinion. But no, I'm not gonna like walk down the street with like an AK and like go after everybody with like a Christianity or Judaism belief or anything like that.
Oh, that's funny. I respect you for the kind of guy who gets like who has like 2 shots of vodka in him, and then he corners the nearest child and is like, God doesn't exist, right, bro? Hold on. Enjoy your life right now. You have about, let's see, what are you, 8 years old? You have like 72 years left. 72 years left.
Call me when you turn 18. We'll have a different discussion about this so-called God.
Oh dear Lord. No. Okay. Well, Sean, I'm gonna have you go last because now it's my turn. Yeah, I was last. Fuck that. So I grew up in a very Catholic family, and then I went to a very Catholic private elementary school and high school. And my first exposure to religion was a bunch of nuns who seemed so frustrated that they couldn't hit children anymore, so they just were complete bitches 24/7. It's funny, like you think you want to serve God and you end up like emotionally torturing children your entire time. It kind of fits on par with the message. I mean, like if you learn what Mother Teresa was really like, you start to wonder why the hell anyone wants her to be a saint. But yeah, no, it wasn't a very friendly upbringing, and I will say that I just kind of accepted whatever they told me, and it was just a given that God exists. But after a while, when I got into high school and we started to get into like some serious theology classes, I realized, they were writing this shit down like 300-400 years after this dude died. Like, how accurate can it be exactly? Like, you play telephone and like you tell someone, I ate an apple, and at the end of the line, it's just like, I believe that Turkey did nothing wrong to Armenia. That's like, what the fuck? How did that change into that? I will also not give my thoughts on the Turkish and Armenian relationship, by the way. But yeah, no, and it was very Christian centered, so I just felt like, okay, I like this idea of God, but I think Christianity's stupid. Let me, try out the other religions. Judaism, yeah, pretty cool. I have some like genetic background that like ties me to those people, and I find it cool that they're studying a lot, but I just don't like following rules all the time. I liked Islam, and I'm really close to a bunch of Muslim friends to the point that like I did the Shahada and whatnot, where you basically say, "Oh yeah, no, I submit before God, and Muhammad is his only prophet." And I think of myself as like a Kierkegaardian Muslim because now that I've developed intellectually, I can't really think of God as a concept being. That sounds like a singer's name, yeah, like from Egypt. Someone from Atlanta trying to sound foreign or something, but. Too bad. Like they name themselves after countries now. Like I'm India, but yeah, no. As I grew intellectually, I just couldn't like conceive of the idea of God or anything. So I still identify with the whole Muslim thing. It's just that like I see God as a concept, as a thing I submit to. Like whether he exists or not, he probably doesn't. But whether he exists or not, the idea runs the world. Like you cannot go live your life without being like assaulted by that idea. Like when I die, there will still be people who believe in God, and I feel like that's just so powerful. Like your power and your influence doesn't have to precede your existence, and I find that like really impressive. So that's why I keep identifying with it, and I'm like a technical Muslim. But if I had to say anything, Buddhism is probably what I think is like the most right out of all the belief systems in the world, because like in Hinduism, God is in everything, and there's this idea of like Indra's net, where basically each soul is connected, and we're all connected. It looks like a big net, and like Buddhism is basically like, no, fuck that, that's stupid. Those nodes you're talking about don't exist. The idea of you being that node doesn't exist. You do not exist. What really exists is like this interweb of connections and relationships. Like Donnie is only Donnie because me and Sean are here. You know what I mean? Like he would not be here in this moment if I didn't have this podcast, if Liddell didn't give me this podcast, if Sean weren't here backing him up. Everything you are is like interdependent on your circumstances and the other relationships. So that's all we really are. We don't really exist at all. But if we don't exist, there probably isn't a God, and if God doesn't exist, we don't exist. So that's pretty much where I've arrived in my intellectual and spiritual capacity. It's just that we're not really here. This is all just a game. You're grinding in World of Warcraft. Don't take things so seriously. Why add more rules from a book that from the Golden Age, from the Bronze Age, into your life just to make things harder? But that's my spiel. Sean, your turn.
Let's see. Growing up, like I'm gonna be completely honest, it was kind of very like loose. Like I had a very loose relationship with like our religion growing up. I cannot tell you if I'm Catholic or Christian because I don't remember what my family associated with, but I know like here and there. Huh?
A Catholic is a kind of Christian, but yeah.
Yeah. so like basically I know that my mom like she's very like religious and everything. So she believes in like God and everything. So I've been to church here and there with her as I was growing up. Not as often, but like here and there I'd go with my grandfather when I stayed with him here and there. But growing up, I've always had like this kind of idea about, I guess, religion, but like not following the rules of it, I guess, per se, by like church standards. So it's like the embodiment of like the ideas of like peace and love and all the stuff like that. Like, I take those to heart, really, like, trying to find peace in it, like where everybody, where they say God loves everyone. It's just that kind of idea where it's just like, yeah, with our differences, everyone should be like, appreciated and everything. But, obviously there are some bad seeds in those like scenarios. But it's just like, I do believe that everybody should be like, appreciated and loved and everything. So I always had a problem where when you hear the stories where, like, let's say, it comes to the people who are overly religious, let's get into like, their views on like sexuality and everything. You'll hear the stuff that's along the lines of let's say adultery is a sin and yet people are still cheating. You hear like,
That's right.
like God hates, like, they'll contradict themselves by saying like God hates like gays and, using the F word and stuff like that. But then that comes into play. It's just like, so one, why are I guess people who diverse from that here? Because if he hated them, they wouldn't exist, I guess. Yeah. Also, you can't preach that, he loves everyone and yet hates this group. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like,
right. Right. That's the main thing. Yeah.
So he can hate them. Imagine that. Imagine how
like, so like I always had like a loose like interpretation of things where it's like not like I picked and choose what like I guess I related to, but I guess I picked and choose what I related to. It was just like I took the things like, I was never afraid to let's say study other religions or see what other spiritualities and stuff like that, like those belief practices are. So I just kind of embody whatever I feel like I gain power from. Like I believe in like, let's say the higher spirits and stuff like that, but I also believe in a sense we are almost like, this is gonna sound weird, but we are our own guides. It's like we have the control, the free will and everything to do whatever we want to do. So looking for signs and everything, yeah, we could say, there are angels helping us and stuff like that. And it could be true, but there's also that element of just like, but you also have the ability to control how your life plays out. Don't always try to blame it on why am I being like, why am I being tested so much? Why am I doing this? It's just like, well, what decisions do you keep making that you haven't learned from yet? That you haven't learned from yet that keeps you in the same thing over and over again? like at this point, when they be like he gives you signs to see if you're ready for something. It's just like, I can believe that, because if you're getting like the same kind of problem over and over again, and you're doing the same movement over and over again, you obviously haven't learned anything. You
No.
know,
No, that's interesting that you bring that up. The idea that like people think that all the challenges they go through in life are like specifically designed for character development. I don't. That shut up. I
not
don't.
talking about you, Liddell.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like a lot of people feel that way. Like you, something that was really popular among Catholics is like everyone has a cross they need to bear, and it's just like no, like you think so highly of yourself. This life isn't just your storybook and seeing how you get character development. See, this is it's because we're constantly assaulted by like Hollywood films and television and books all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with books, but like you start to think that your life is just a story and like things have to make sense. Like, oh, you're gonna end up with the person you knew since childhood because it just makes sense. You're gonna find that you always had this special talent, so it just makes sense that you find this job. Oh, you're only suffering right now, but it's because it's gonna make you stronger and better. It's like, bitch, no. No, God isn't trying to challenge you and make you better. Shit just happens and you learn to adapt. That's all. It just happens. That's like saying there's like a natural disaster, like a tornado hits your small town. What kind of fucking character development is that supposed to be? You lost your farm. Your dog died. Like, I'm gonna be stronger for this. I'm gonna learn how to survive tornadoes. No, shit, no. You live on a planet and a universe that does not really pay. It's not trying to kill you, but doesn't really care about your existence. So it'll just do shit without like considering, oh, this may actually end my life. But no, it just happens, man. Like shit, and life I'm not gonna say life is suffering because like you can't call life one thing, but there is suffering. It is inherent to life. Like everyone does it. Wait, doesn't matter what kind of organism you are. But enough preaching my Buddhist worldviews. It's weird now. Like I feel like an evangelical preacher now because I have all these ideas, and everyone deserves to hear them. But let's go back. Let's go back to religion specifically with our next question, and what'll be about comfort. Now, how do you comfort yourself with or without religion? Like I mentioned before, life. And in fact, it's great that this was a good segue. Suffering is inherent to life. So a lot of people seek religion to alleviate that suffering. Like some people go pray to God, and in doing so, they feel catharsis, they feel better, they feel like they're actually loved. I can't tell you how many Christians, Jews, Muslims say that they just feel so loved by this concept of God that all their thoughts of all their bad thoughts just evaporate. So whether you're religious or not, how do you seek comfort, with or without it? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
You do want to go first.
Yeah. How do I comfort myself in like stressing times?
Yeah, honestly, when you're having your little existential crisis, who do you seek? Who do you preach to? Who do you find comfort in?
I find comfort in music. I also flip through the pages of Jack Kerouac's journals for guidance a little bit.
On the road, nice.
Yeah, but the thing that I have, the problem that I have with religion is people cling to this idea that I have to follow the teachings of this imaginary being in order to live a rich and successful good life. Like I need to follow these rules set by somebody in order to be a good person, and it's just that I don't agree with. Like I'm not going to live my life by some person or some being that I've never met personally. If he cared so much about us, he would come down here, like instead of like sending your son. Does seem like a good father to me, but what do I know about good fathers? Mine's past.
The whole son thing is just so weird, isn't it? Like he both is his son and is separate from his son.
You say your son, you don't even talk to us personally, and I'm supposed to dedicate my life to you.
But that's the thing. That is him at the same time. I am I am me and my son at the same time. So technically, he's sending
No,
himself.
I'm not trying to hear that.
It's so weird.
That's like me sending a vibrator to a girl and saying that's me and the vibration at the same time. That's
It's a it's a dildo that's a mold of your penis. So technically, it is you. That's if we're gonna compare Jesus to a dildo, let's compare it like this. It is the mold that you put around your erect penis. You stuck hot sauce up your butt and like it was erect for hours.
yeah, but I could give her that dildo of my mold, but it's just
Okay,
it's not gonna be the same. But you know, YouTube algorithm doesn't want us to talk about that.
That comparison of the dildo and Jesus content is gonna get us kissed.
But yeah, I mean,
let's edit the dildo speech.
But back to what I was saying, yeah, I find comfort in like art and culture like that. Like I don't find comfort in religion.
It's kind of funny because like I feel like you raise, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, you raise like culture up to a standard where it's almost like if there's anything higher than humanity, it's what we're producing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that on other podcasts before. Like if I had a religion,
okay. We don't know what you're talking about.
You're right. Yeah, I do hold like culture and art and any form of like art higher than like humanity and stuff like that. So yeah, what you said, the stuff that we produce, I hold to more value than the actual human.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me after I say this, but in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's telling Arjun, this guy, that like you will find me in whatever you love or worship. Like you don't have to go out and seek, because the start of Krishna is like Jesus' story, if it made sense. Like he's just an avatar of the great God. But he's like, you won't even have to go out and seek me. Like you don't have to go to church or like go pick up a Bible. Like whatever you worship or whatever you're super into, I will be there. So it's kind of like a checkmate. Like, oh, you like music? I'm there. It's me. I'm God. Ooh, so you didn't think I was?
I mean, is he talking to me in this music?
He's talking to Arjun, and through Arjun, he's talking to you, man. He's like, you see those Drake lyrics you really liked in his album? God is in there. God is behind.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I understand that. It's just
I know it's weird because like if that's how you define God, I guess there is a God. Maybe I do see comfort in religion. It's like there's no one way to look at it, really.
Yeah, okay, all right. Because when I think religion, I automatically think the most popular one, which is what, like Christianity, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be Islam soon.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's like you're right. I do see comfort in religion, but of every different kind of religion, we'll say that.
Yeah, bro, like the idea of God is fluid. He's gender fluid, and you just need to like accept that, guys. Okay? I think Donnie said was like bisexual awareness month, so I don't know. I needed to drop something in. But
yeah, it's like a week or something like that. It was in July.
Look at us ahead of the curve for once. I love it. Okay, Sean. How do you, since you're spiritual religious, how do you comfort yourself with religion?
So I'll say I tend to like taking, I guess, the parts that I guess not matter to me, taking the parts that make more sense to me. Like, you know, I find comfort. Like, I won't say that I don't believe in God. I do believe in like higher spirits and stuff like that. But like I said, at the end of the day, I also believe we have as much control as he does. So like paying attention to like, you know, coincidences and stuff like that. I'll say if anything, that would be how they, whatever the higher spirits would like to call themselves, are talking to us. Where it's like how you said, we were just talking about like, you know, him being in everything. You hear that one music lyric at that time that you didn't know you needed, and you're just like, oh, you know, like you're just like, I listened to this at the exactly right time. It's just like there are certain things that I would say are weirdly coincidental. Like, you
I was
know,
about to say, is that just a coincidence, or
it's that weird thing. Like sometimes where things just kind of weirdly line up. Like you call them coincidences, but then they weirdly line up for the exact time that you ever need them. So you're just like, okay, if somebody is watching me, then thank you. Like, you know, it's like thank you for that, because
like you see 11:11 on your watch and your clock and your radio and your microwave.
like that, like when they tell
God.
you like to pay attention to like angel numbers and all the stuff like that, and like, you know, like I take everything with a grain of salt, but then there's like those few instances where something lines up just perfectly enough where you kind of sit there and you're just like, that was weird. Like that was like a weirdly timed.
How do you know you're not the one doing that? Like, why do you assign all these weird things happening in your life to like something outside of yourself? What if you're doing it?
That would also be like, that would also come into play when like people talk about like manifestations and like the universe listening and all the stuff like that. They'd be like, you know, you put the energy out there and like it gravitates towards you. So to some degree, I'd be like, well, yeah, I could see that being possible. But it's also that kind of like, I want to say, a switching of a mindset that happens with you when you like decide that you want to go after something first, that everything starts to actually align up more for you. Like, again, the weird coincidences can come into play, but it's just like
the thing I have is, why don't they just present them? Like, what's wrong with presenting yourselves? Why you got to go through all these subliminal messages if there is they or he or she or whatever that being? Why? Like, why don't you just present yourselves and get this over with, get all this self-doubt out? Because like I said, I have a few questions. And
it'd be that easy.
Well, why not? Like, he's the one that can, huh?
That's what I'm saying. We think there's like this dichotomy. It's either outside ourselves or inside ourselves. And it's like you guys are expecting like, oh, I want to talk to whoever's running the show, and it's like you are running the show. It's you. You just don't know what you're doing, so shit is crazy.
So I have to talk to myself. Is what you're saying.
In a sense, yeah.
Like, get yourself down and be like, what the fuck are you doing to reality, Scarlet?
Yeah,
like what's going on?
Like, yeah, like, you know, sometimes like people don't really, I guess, pay attention to the fact that once you like, I guess, you manifest, you put it out in the air, it's more you aligning yourself in that direction where you actually start to, not like saying attract that kind of energy, but it's just like, all right, now let's say I'm ready for my life to go in a different, like, I'll say this, I remember writing down, I was just like, by chapter 27, basically, when I turned 27, my life is going to head in a different direction and everything. And once I hit 27, a lot of things like about me personally started to shift. So it's like I started to take more control about like how I express myself, how I do this. I started to invest more in dance and stuff like that. And I could say that's also, I guess, manifestation. Like, let's say I went to Atlanta last week and met like one of the dancers that I really wanted to meet. And I remember writing down that I will meet them one day. So it's like that could be both the coincidence of I wrote it down and it happened, or it could also be the fact that because I wanted to start dancing more, I started to go more classes, then something was coming up. My friend said, let's go to it. We went through it, and there was the dancer that I wanted to see.
Okay, I get that because I've had situations like that where I've said and years ago that something would happen, and looking back, okay, all right, I get that manifestation. I get that. That does.
Yeah, Liddell.
You guys want me to blow your minds real quick?
What's up?
Please.
Yeah, okay. This podcast is taking a left turn. You know how like wizards and witches and like TV and media always are working spells? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna cast a spell for whatever one. Yeah, bullshit, right? The reason it's called a spell is because language and writing were very important to ancient cultures. Like when more or less every society, let's use like ancient Indian society, had like caste systems more or less, and usually on the top, you know, aside from like kings and shit, you would have priests, and they would basically be in charge of stuff that people assumed kept the world going, kept their society in upkeep. And to become a priest, like you have to be born into it, but you go through a lot of education, like I forget what they're called in India. I think they're called Brahmins. The Brahmin priests, like from the time they grow up, they go through a big education, and because they're the only ones receiving the education, they're the only ones who know how to read or write. You know what I mean? So because like a long time ago, it kind of still is. Language and knowledge of it was just powerful. Like words were powerful. Only the elite knew them. Only these magical priest adepts knew them. Like they were just associated with having greater power. In fact, like in modern day Judaism Kabbalah, like the Hebrew letters each have their own symbol. They spell things out. There are ways to read the Bible in Hebrew and find secret messages by like associating what each Hebrew letter means, and it's really cool shit. It's called gematria. But in case like letters and spells were associated with power for a very, very long time, to the point that only these people knew how to read or write. So the idea of a spell comes from the idea of writing something down, and it has like it affects the world in this kind of magical way. So that's why we call it spelling. So when Sean brings up that he wrote something down, this will happen in 27. This and this will happen when I'm 27. Like there's a lot to that idea. Like there's this idea that like your words and when you write something down have power. Like it doesn't need to be like this ancient language like Sanskrit or ancient Hebrew. You can do that with English. In fact, I have a weird coincidence, and I'm not, again, I'm not presenting that there's anything higher than me. I feel like we are if there isn't anything higher than us, it's like what Donnie says, it's what we produce or what we come together to make. But like I remember I was at NYU and I was really bored before class, and I have no talent drawing, but I just figured I'd just try a couple sketches, and I drew this girl. Just came out of my mind. She had like a frizzy hair, like she was mixed race but brown skin. I don't know. I don't know. I gave her a whole outfit, and I have no idea where this shit was coming from because I've never met this person. 2 weeks later, I matched with her on like Bumble or something or whatever the app was at the time. Exactly her. 100%. And I forgot about the sketchbook, and like we only had the one date, but I got home, I opened the sketchbook, and there was this bitch on the paper. It's just like, did you exist before I made this sketch? Did I know I was going to meet you? What the fuck happened? I swear it wasn't even that they were kind of someone. No, frizzy hair, mixed race, certain height, certain style. I even think I envisioned her with purple hair, and she had like just dyed her hair purple. Never date someone who dyes their hair, by the way. But I'm looking at you, Sean. He's dangerous. But yeah, no, I'm like, it was just like, wow, when you write or put something down on paper, anything can fucking happen, man. Just say what you want. It might just happen. What do you have to lose? Paper? But yeah, let's go to our last question. Like fucking that shit kind of shit blows my mind sometimes. So what are your conclusions about God? And like, I want you to take everything we learned and shared from this TUC Talk, as they call it, and like put it into your new framework for God. What are your conclusions, guys? Anyone can go first.
Come on, pussies. I'll say my conclusions. They haven't really necessarily changed from this podcast. It seems like to some degree we're all kind of almost on the same page, even with different interpretations and stuff. But it's just like, it's the conclusion is just that, like, yes, if there is a high spirit there are certain things that are too coincidental to actually say are, like, to say that there might not be.
That you got? Okay, someone's near an airport.
Yeah, no, it was like a freaking aircraft.
Okay, that wasn't me. All right. Okay. There might be something. So if, like, again, there could be like, higher spirits, whatever, because obviously different religious practices have come about, like, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, all the stuff like that. So obviously everybody has the same idea about like higher spirits and everything, meaning that we can't all just grouply say it's one, like, like one being. It's how people interpret it. That being said, I do believe, I guess, if there are high spirits, that we are just as powerful as they are to some degree. They always say that we're made in, the God's image and stuff like that, meaning we obviously have the power, the same power that he would have if that was the case, meaning that we have as much control over our life as, I guess, he would, which goes back to, like, there are some things that are coincidental, but at the end of the day, you also have control over how your life goes once you make certain decisions, or if you look at what you've been doing. And if you're facing like problems over and over again, sometimes it's not, oh, you're being tested. It's that, hey, you keep making the same decision over and over again. So what needs to change? You could say, oh, they're putting this in, like, they are putting this in my life to make me grow and everything. But it's just like, all right, so if that is the case,
that's such a cop out.
it's like, like
Such
if that is the case, then what did you learn or not learn yet that you see that you keep doing there? Like, let's say you got the person, oh my God, I keep dating nothing but like, fuck boys, fuck girls, whatever you want to call them. And it's just like, so would you consider that you keep getting fuck boys, fuck girls in your life? Like, he keeps putting them in your life for some reason? Or would that mean that you keep choosing these kind of people over and over again? And what did you not learn from the last time that you did this? It's just like,
It makes me wonder, because like we oftentimes don't like something about other people that we
I'm not talking about you, Liddell.
No, because we often find dislike things in other people that we have in ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, you hate that really selfish person because it reminds you of how selfish you can be sometimes. It's just like there really is no difference between me, Donnie, or Sean. There is no difference between anyone we see on the street. They're really just reflections of us. You know what I mean? Like what I said with the interconnectedness before, like we don't exist without our relationship to everything else. So it's just like, I don't know, like if I'm dating, all I'm dating are fuck girls, it's probably because I'm a fuck boy and like I like that, or I seek it out, because you can only ever love something when you see yourself in it. It's selfish, yeah, but like that's how it works. I love puppies because I see that cute cuddly creature that's hiding on the inside. But yeah, Sean, you want to throw in some thoughts into this lot?
No, it's pretty much like what you said is pretty much it. Everything is like almost like some things are mirrors or whatever. Like, like you said, some things you just see a lot of yourself in them, or like you see something that maybe you need to change about yourself. So if they are, let's say, thrown at you, you need to actually do the work of learning what it is. It's not because, oh, this is a test or anything. It's just more so like, what is it about this person that I keep going to that might need to change about who I am as a person? Like, what am I necessarily being shown? Not necessarily because it was thrown at me for a test, but what is it showing about something about like your own character that you might need to work on?
No. All right, Donnie. You've been waiting patiently.
Yeah, I mean, that would explain a lot about my past relationships, because they were all alcoholics and depressing. But
Pot calling the kettle black, I see.
Yeah. I was like, wow, you guys gave me some thought. But in my conclusions about God, it really hasn't changed. I can't fathom if there's a God, then he's really cruel, an asshole, and unjust, I believe. And the people, when it comes out, I'm speaking about Christianity, and the people that like supposedly supposed to be following his teachings and stuff like that are some of the most biggest hypocrites I've ever met. But I mean, my conclusion is, if you believe in it, that's fine. I respect that. You do you. But at the same time, that's not something that I believe in and don't want to believe in, and just respect that. Like, I feel like everybody should just respect each other. Like, just go about your life, do you, and just do you until your time comes up and you got to be sleeping in the ground. I just can't fathom believing in something that I can't see or haven't interacted with. I know I'm going to get hell for this, but there was a time when I was young where, I mean, I didn't even believe in Martin Luther King. I mean, he was like a god, and the way that the Black community talked about him, and there was like moments where I was like, oh, well, like, I don't believe that he existed and stuff like that. So
he's too great to have been real.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. But like if I can't touch, see, or feel it without hard evidence, then like it doesn't exist to me.
I'll give you something you can touch and see that has real hard evidence. Am I right? Okay, okay.
Sexual harassment at the workplace.
HR.
I am HR. What do you do if someone from HR starts harassing you? But that's next week's episode. But yeah, I guess my conclusion about God is that I don't really have any conclusions about God because I feel like we have human beings operate on this false dichotomy of is or isn't. You exist or you don't exist. You're good or you're bad. You're here or you're there.
Yeah.
You're me or you're not me. You worship like this or you don't worship at all. It's just like I think that's all bullshit, honestly. I think it's all bullshit. Like we have this Adele just jumped in. Where the fuck?
Donnie,
God.
you clearly need prayer, bro. I just came in to say that I'm gonna pray for you. Can you clearly don't? You clearly don't.
This is our producer. Everyone. Oh wow.
Special guest star, Liddell.
That was the divine intervention.
Our editor in chief.
But yeah, wow, I almost lost my train of thought. No, yeah, it's just like this idea, like I don't think you can go about life wrong anymore. You know what I mean? Whatever you do, as long as you keep this whole mess going, you are worshiping in your own way. You know, you live your life, that is worship. You do what you want to do, that is worship. You try to be your most happiest anytime, that's your worship. You have kids, you're prolonging the human race. You're giving back by producing art or literature or doing your own thing or supporting our whatever economy we want to have. Like, there you go. You are a practicing and pious person because if you give yourself up to something that you consider greater than yourself, then by no means should anyone be going to hell. It's not a single, even if you're a murderer. I'll even say like that. There is no hell. Like Christianity really warped that. I don't even think in Judaism anyone really goes to hell. If anything, it's just like you just kind of washed off and then you just go somewhere else. So I want everyone to listen to this podcast. Stop worrying about hell. You're doing everything fine. Just keep doing you. That's it. But yeah, no, I think that's a great way to close the podcast. In any case, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll let and you can always find us on the TUC channel podcast. The TUC website, and of course YouTube. And I'm sure we're going to be branching off to other platforms soon. But again, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll let my co-hosts here, drop anything that they might be working on or let you know where they can find you. And our website is tucmag.net. That's tucmag.net. Boys, show them what you're working. Nothing? You guys aren't doing anything?
It goes from left to right.
Okay. You can find me on IG, Twitter, most social media is under Black Dawn, maybe with underscore, maybe with not. I don't think I'm really working on anything right now, or at least nothing like public profile-y. So, but if you want to see any of my like art or anything, you could check blackdawnarts.com.
Working on a couple of film shoots, and getting ready for a governor's ball next weekend. Well, this weekend coming up. So
I ain't got shit. I got a phone number, and I think I'll call in like 2 to 3 days. I think that's like acceptable. And
why are you waiting 2 to 3 days?
I don't know. That's just that.
I really failed Liddell.
Come on, Liddell is our god, and he's failing us. But,
I can't get it over with.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So I'll take that sign that Liddell approves that I wait 2 to 3 days before texting.
I guess so.
Yes. Yeah. Again, like, share, and subscribe. We're on tucmag.net, and our YouTube channel is called the TUC Podcast Network. See you later, guys. Liddell, now you can do it.